Hello, everyone, and welcome to our final group stage cast of the Winter Cup 2023. I am your host, tournament organizer, and caster for today, Opie Wrights. I'm here with my co-caster, Hornet.
Hello, Opie. Happy to be here today on this final day of group stages. This is when the matches really start picking up in terms of stakes. And speaking of high stake matches, we have one right now. So as it stands, this is essentially an elimination match between two very strong players.
Yeah, two very strong players, Miniorek and RAMS. Miniorek, obviously, the winner of SMC 2022. Very, very, probably I'm not even gonna say probably. It's definitely the strongest tournament that we've ever seen because it was designed to be that way. It was an invite tournament based on your performances over over the entire year of 2022. So you had to be a pretty strong player to get in there in the first place, and Miniorek won that tournament. CRM's also involved in SMC and did win a couple of matches in there before being eliminated rather. So these players are no joke. The thing is, though, one of them may be eliminated in group stages today. Uh, Hornet, why don't we go over what the different results mean for this group? Because I think it has some personal relevance for you as well.
Sure. So if either player happens to win, they will secure first place and eliminate the other player. In the event of a tie, Mini would receive first place and C-Rams would receive second place, both players advancing, with myself being the player that would not make it in that scenario.
Yes, indeed, Hornet is part of this group and stands to make it out of a very, very tough group as long as this isn't a draw. So we have Hornet here rooting for any result that's not that. But both of these players playing for a lot right now. Both of them know that getting to 6 points guarantees that spot out of groups, and that is the goal for both of them. It doesn't even necessarily have to be winning, although first place in the group is nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and players may remember this is a rematch from the Summer Cup quarterfinals, where it was an absolutely razor-thin victory for Miniorek. Since then, C-Rams has picked up some steam. He won Golden Gold. He qualified for SMC. Um, I, I'm very interested to see how this plays out today.
Yes. It is going to be very interesting. And speaking of interesting, let's get on into the draft. Once again, for Winter Cup, we have venue sets that players pick from. Then you'll get bans from those sets, totaling out to 12 games. CRMs starting us out by picking Spin It, which is well, not all of necessarily, but comprised of venues where you're going to have to be doing a lot of camera movement. Um, Miniorek now then picks Now You See, Now You Don't, which is a combination set of some venues where it's pretty easy to see the spy and other AIs, and venues where it's more difficult. Then Miniorek is going to ban Courtyard 3 of 7. Although unusually, I think they forgot to report on CRM's ban.
I believe C-Rams banned Redwoods.
Uh,
So I think these picks are pretty standard with what they picked throughout the tournament. So I will expect both players to be prepared for these venues. C-Rams, I believe, is well known for generally being very prepared for difficult matches such as this one. So I'm interested to see what he has in store.
yeah, CRM's is well known at this point for the amount of prep work he puts into his matches. It's allowed for some pretty big, upset at the time, but looking back, they might not be as upset, uh, flavored as they seemed initially. But you know, we'll see if I still do think that perhaps Miniorek is a very slight favorite here. After all, did indeed win SMC 2022. CRM simply participated and has been a strong player for quite a long time.
Yeah, I think you could easily make an argument that Mini is one of, if not the best players in SpyParty in his current form. Um, But C-Rams has proven time and time again when he's in his form, he is absolutely an elite player and can give the best players a run for their money.
Yeah, that is 100% true. So, if you'll give me one moment, we'll switch on over into this game, which we have Miniorek on the spy side playing as Seek here for our first game. If you're ready, Hornet.
I'm ready.
All right, let's get it going in three, two, one, playing it. Starting off pretty slowly here, but I think that's pretty typical for Miniorek.
Yep, just doing some innocent idling. I think just kind of seeing how the party plays out.
Interesting request here. Was that a mistake or was that intentional? We do walk away from it, so maybe we just wanted to draw Toby out into the center of this venue here, which is pretty clever if that was the idea, trying to get something in the back while Toby has been pushed away from the area where we want the sniper to be watching. It is something very subtle that a good spy can make use of, the control over Toby.
Yeah, that is quite interesting. So as expected, going for some early flirt progress. Maybe having an eye on that ambassador who I believe just left a fingerprint at the red bookcase.
We don't want the red bookcase fingerprint though. Instead, we're going for the briefcase. Pretty obvious. I would say this is not a print that you expect to get away with. For example, it's just a print. I want this progress. I'm fine taking the minor suspicion hit that it's going to give me.
Yeah, I think a lot of good players do favor that early fingerprint progress since generally another one will present itself later on in the match, especially on these 5 of 8 venues where you really need to keep up the progress throughout if you want to finish.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're going to get in for our second flirt. It is going to be a white test again. However, we were close enough on that first one, so another close white will complete the flirt.
Interested to see what the plan will be for the remaining missions. Looks like at the moment CRAMS does have 3 highlights. Believe these may be statue highlights. Wondering if maybe Mini is avoiding the statues intentionally for this reason.
Yeah, it is pretty common, especially against players who do those statue highlights, to try to avoid going to statues too early on, as it does make your job going forward a lot more difficult.
Looks like we're content to timer flirt here, so we do finish up Seduce. So yeah, interested to see what the next missions will be. See Ambassador leaving a fingerprint on the green bookcase. Wondering if it is. I wonder if enough time has passed that he could go for that without gaining too much suspicion.
Yeah, we maybe we're thinking about a reverse drive-by bug there, but CRM's was all over it with that angle, so very good not going for it. Although this one, okay, we're not quite close enough though for a sending bug. The ambassador did not gift us that much, but it is going to be a contact here. It will be real, and we could do a lot of missions right here. Purloin, it's a green test. We could even bug out of here if we wanted to, but I think that's a little bit too brazen for Miniorek. We're just going to go for that Purloin, and CRM's is going to be put to the test here. I think this statue might be printable. However, the ambassador did take, so there's only the us.
Oh wow, and Mini just goes straight for the white swap.
Oh wow, yeah.
Mission win countdown. Looks like CRAMS is still low lighting, so this might work. And it does.
Yeah. Wow. It's one of these plays that it's just so you the goal for the spy is just to get to mission win countdown and not let the sniper have time to kind of figure the party out, because you did see lots and lots of low lights starting to come off for that purloin, but during that moment of distraction, during that narrowing of the party, which might otherwise be very strong for CRMs, Miniorek puts himself into mission win countdown, and CRMs does not react in time, and Miniorek finding a spy win on veranda, which is not the simplest thing to do.
Yeah, really a beautiful play from Miniorek if you think about it. Using the distraction from that purloin to finish the remaining missions at the same time. Also, I love the decision to swap a front statue. I think generally a strong sniper is not going to feel a sense of panic when a guest is at those statues. So sometimes that can be a blind spot for the sniper.
Yes, absolutely. And it's Very nice game from Miniorek. That could, set the tone for this match. When you lose a sniper game, particularly on one of these bigger venues, and you know that your opponents themselves is a very, very strong sniper, that puts a lot of pressure on you because you know you need to win at least two spy games to outright win the set now. It makes it that just that much more difficult to find your way into a win. And I don't think CRMs is at all the type to crumble after one game, even as a sniper loss on not modern veranda. But it does set a tone, and it might affect things going forward. But speaking of, I I have no transition here. It's just Smallman. It's Smallman.
Yeah, definitely not the start you want against Mini, but knowing C-Rams, he has something up his sleeve, so I'm interested to see what he will do to equalize here.
Absolutely. Well, let's get it going in three, two, one. Playing it.
Yeah, so breaking out the emergency Smallman nice and early, may be useful on a venue like here where you can be hidden behind the party at times. Going for that early flare progress, a slight missed pad, but I don't think Mini saw it.
It would be pretty difficult to see, especially during time of chaos here. You're trying to watch the ambassador, you're trying to memorize statues, you're doing a lot of other things other than looking for a missed pad, and the missed pad from Smallman, no less. That's even more difficult to see. CRAMS is well known for having like very strong plays that he goes into a game wanting to accomplish, and picking Smallman feels very intentional. It feels like there's going to be something done using that small stature as a way to cheese, as a way to get something by Miniorek here. I would be a little bit surprised if CRMs didn't have a plan.
Yeah, and so far I think we're maybe eyeing that ambassador. He's being very generous with the fingerprints, fingerprinting both statues, now going for a book and leaving a briefcase behind.
Yeah, lots of prints out here for CRMs, but maybe that actually goes against what CRMs wants. If we were, for example, looking for a microfilm book cheese with Smallman, you might not want a print to be there to draw that extra attention. But so far, it's just been very, very slow out of CRMs. I feel
Yeah,
like there has to be something
innocently
coming.
switching conversations, no ST or DA. I'm assuming he's looking for a specific look from the party before he pulls the trigger here. Yes, especially since the ambassador was at both statues, I do think Mini is paying close attention. However, we do not pick up a highlight.
No highlight indeed.
Seems like a fairly decent contact, only letting off a few low lights.
We're going back to the same set of statues here, so Miniork will know that it was just the same set of statues, but they are both fingerprintable in this case. Does Miniork know that? And it looks like we do. Look at this. Look at this highlight.
Yeah, I think picking up the additional fingerprint, I think you have to highlight for that. I think Mini is gonna be paying very close attention to Smallman now.
Yeah, and this doesn't feel like the CRMs that we're a bit more used to. Um, we're usually seeing some kind of planned out play, something a little bit more aggressive. But right now we've just got soft tells, and soft tells are not good enough on Veranda. You need to find a hard tell, but we're already one of two highlights.
Yeah, that being said, we do have a lot of partial progress. If the ambassador can, be nice and let us get a nice bug opportunity, that could be good enough
Yeah,
for a
this is the
finish.
idea for CRMs. Wanted to go in for this cheese swap, I think, but Minirek's angle makes him think better of it. And Minirek still might think that we are the top suspect because of how quickly we picked up that statue, though. So that's going to be difficult for CRMs. I don't think we're going to get a finish in here unless we rush to the front statues, and even then it's going to be difficult. We go for a bug and the shot comes off.
Yeah, Mini on Sniper is just too strong. He was just on top of it. Yeah, tough round for C-Rams.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about when, you lose that initial spy game. It's so difficult to come back because of how strong that sniper is out of Miniorek, and that honestly, I've praised CRAMs as spy quite a lot in the past, but that felt like a bit of a lackluster game, just a little bit listless there, kind of floating along without too much direct path to completion. We'll
Yeah,
see.
it's
Yeah,
it's po possible he was looking for specific looks from the party that just never really came. No way to really say. But that being said, Veranda might not be the best venue when you really need a spy win. But it looks like we are going into a slightly more spy-sided venue in Taeyen.
yes, that's gonna help. I think for sure. You have a lot more opportunities here on this venue to figure that out for CRMs, and if you can just snipe it, your odds of sweeping the venue and bringing this back to a draw aren't all that terrible. But first, you do have to snipe it. Miniorek playing on general as the playing as this as general on the spy side. There we go. And 3, 2, 1, playing it.
So we spawn right by the ambassador, but does not look like we get a chance to take advantage.
Yeah, just an early highlight onto the ambassador and a couple of statue visitors here. I'm interested to note that Duke here is at side statues and picked up a highlight, but Rocker also at side statues has not. Eventually she might though. Yeah, there it goes. So definitely a very cut and clear highlight for statue strategy out of CRAMs, and I would actually be surprised if Miniorek tries to go for early statues at any point in this match.
Yeah, however, fairly active party here. Quite a few cast members, or I guess I've already picked up highlights, which we might be able to blend in if we do go that route.
Yeah, the downside to these highlights is not nearly as huge as they would be if you were the only one going to these statues. So if we want to, it's definitely an option, especially as now 3 guests have completed full inspects with Rocker going to that side inspect there. So that's going to make it very difficult on the CRMs going forward because it's such a, with Taeyen, you always have to consider what if someone's got a bug, right? And they've just have gone to center statues and they've got a bug and now I have to shoot them. And there are 3 such guests now in this party. So you're going to be very, very confident on bug. However, the one good thing about this for CRMs is the shoji setup. We have all of the shoji on the left side, which just makes the venue much more open. You have more angles. You can see bugs more often. So I think it might balance out slightly here.
Yeah, and Mini seems content to go for a fairly passive approach here. I think he may be aware of how active this party is, and he knows that C-Rams is counting these missions. He may be thinking of a frame here.
Yeah, I would say that if you see a reject out of one of these characters that has gone to center statues, like for example right now out of Kane, you could consider requesting and going for a green purloin. Even a white test, if you don't see the fade, could be good, but all you need was that green test, you take a contact, and you get someone who has been to center statue shot. Although, actually, weirdly enough, I don't know if Miniorek can be offered right here because of where the shoji is.
Yeah, so Taft did reject right before us, but Toby went the other
In the
way
red.
to sorry. So yeah, I think we may not be in a position to be offered.
Yeah, doesn't look like it. We do take the contact here. The SDA was out of conversation, so only the back conversation had real. I'm wondering if CRAMs made note of that. Obviously, the statue lights are already taking up our lights, and I doubt that would be changed because of it being its use as a memory tool. So it would just have to be memorizing who has real. But Miniorek here, down to 20 seconds. We haven't even really been commenting on the time. We only have the 2 missions.
In the
Yeah,
red.
very interested to see if C-Rams can hold here.
I think it's pretty likely. It doesn't seem like anyone's really gotten missions done. You'd have to be crediting a bug somewhere. Miniorek could go for this right now, but it still wouldn't be enough. You have only 2 missions, and Miniorek willing to just stand here and force CRAMS to hold, which CRAMS obliges.
Yeah, very, very impressive from C-Rams. I mentioned the sniping of Miniorek, but if you've ever seen C-Ram snipe, he notices all the mission progress and tracks it very well. And I think he just knew that no one could be finishing there.
Okay, now speaking of Smallman though, and Tayan, we have another Smallman game out of CRAMS. It is their second one in a row now. Um, that's I mean, I can understand the impetus to play Smallman on Tayan, so I get it. It's very strong. We have the same Shoji setup as last time, which is not always the case. We'll see how CRAMS deals with that, and if we can bring this back to a drawn match with the power of the smallest character. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, I'd mentioned Smallman on Veranda. I think Smallman is much more scary on Tayen because there's times when you seriously just cannot see what he's doing, and I know this is very intentional from C-Rams. Um, but right now, just innocently standing at the very front of the party where you wouldn't normally see Smallman operating.
Yeah, it might be a way to kind of blunt the suspicion, the natural suspicion that you get by playing Smallman. Of course, on Tayan, you know, a lot of players do like to just instant highlight Smallman, even on any venue, but on Tayan in particular, it's one of those that's going to be very important. Lots of opportunities for dancing as well. For example, Clank, like swap Clank and dance behind the back conversation has been a play that we've seen before out of many a Smallman. Um, but when
Yeah,
you're up in the front here,
yeah. Fortunately, right here with the ST, so we could get lots of unsuspected progress here.
and we're not out of sight, out of mind quite yet. We are in sight, and very directly in mind as being a character that hasn't done much.
Yeah, switching conversations here. So we did get the one white flirt, so we will need to go back to our ST. I'm sure Mini is probably at least somewhat aware of that flare pairing. We'll see if that gets noticed.
Here comes a contact here. Both conversations do
In the end
have
of
real
red.
in it. Are there any new Lolets to take? Yeah, there's one. There's one, and that's on to actually the only highlight in the party. So that is relatively significant as a low light here for Miniorek. And this party is starting to feel really, really claustrophobic in terms of how many suspects are left for CRMs to use as cover. Because there are 4 lowlights. There was only 1 lowlight off the contact, so there were just 3 other lowlights, presumably from pathing, if I had to guess. Miniorek is well known as a pathing sniper and uses that pretty well to his advantage. In this case, taking down 3 suspects in a venue that only has 13 guests to start, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, we have finished up the seduce and contact. I'm interested to see what this third mission. Oh, and it looks like we do purloin the guest list, and it
Uh,
is a green.
I don't see a purloin, it's just a
Ah,
reject,
sorry,
looks like
innocent
to me.
reject.
But I was like, is my replay bugged? That's okay. You know, it's sometimes we as casters miss green purloins. It's not often we phantom them, but you know, we like to have some fun here. And now it's a green purloin. I think you were just telling the future, actually, Hornet. You were just you were glimpsing beyond the veil. In
Uh,
general,
yeah, the
no.
little timestamps at the bottom threw me off a little here. And looks like we are
Oh, we're
going for
gonna
a
go for a
bug here,
bug
and it
dance.
does take.
Is it gonna work though? Oh, Miniorek finds the shot through everything. Look at this. I don't even know how you like figure out where to shoot here. Finds a hole and wheels his wheelchair to
Yeah, we
aim
were in
through.
the very back of the party. Most of the guests were in conversation. I cannot stress how impressive of a shot that was.
Yeah, very, very nicely done. Helped out, I would say, in part by the fact that these shoji weren't offset. That shot, while the mechanics of it don't change at all because you can shoot through the shoji and you can take that angle regardless of where the shoji are, the actually being sure that shot is what is like where Smallman is becomes a lot more difficult. If that front shoji is on the right side here, it's so much more difficult to hit the shot. So a little bit of good shoji luck from both players really, but neither player managed to win a spy game. And so we did see that Smallman dance at the end, but in the end, despite playing Smallman twice in a row, CRM still has no spy wins.
Yeah, and watching that back, Mini did not even hesitate. He just zoomed in and shot right, right between Wheels' wheelchair, and I cannot believe that he made that shot.
Yeah, it was very, very impressive. You know, top snipers are well attuned to dancing and well experienced in finding those shots, but even when you're a top sniper, even when you're experienced with dancing, even when you know how to shoot it, it's so dicey and it's so scary because you just have that potential of misshooting and losing that game despite knowing who the spy is. So
Yeah, honestly, a brilliant play from C-Rams, getting the last two missions, very late, just in time to set up the dance, but absolute nerves of steel from Mini on the sniper.
nerves of steel and a good reaction time. You know, saw what was happening and immediately was ready to shut up for that shot. So we do have Miniorek going up 3-1, going into another venue where it's gonna be pretty difficult to find that spy win for CRMs that he absolutely needs to come back into this thing. But we have another game as Seek. We saw this in our first one as well from Miniorek. Let's get it going in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Settling into a conversation here, I think we're waiting to see where ST will land. At a window with twins, so I don't think we're going to pursue the flirt at this moment.
No, and it is another slow start, but there is time on this venue. However, of course, the counterpoint. Well, never mind. Thank you, seduction target. We now have 51% flirt, and everything is golden.
It's very cooperative of the ST to come just in time for that 51% flirt. Yeah, actually, fairly good start for library, although we do have a lot of progress to make.
Yes, indeed, we do fingerprint over there for salmon. You know, a couple of statue highlights. Guests are getting suspicion, and Miniorek probably going to try to use that attention paid to other guests to get away with something. I have to imagine, but even with that free flirt, this has been quite slow.
Yeah, generally with the nature of the library, you
Um,
do want at least one hidden. Oh, and an ambassador comes right next to us. Let's see if we can take advantage here.
it's so tempting though. We were on screen the entire time, so I understand why Miniorek did not take that bug, but it's just so tempting. And a fake contact here, very interesting when we split. And we split to the front of our own conversation, and I think we might be trying to purloin? I don't know. What?
Yeah, from CRAM's perspective, it looks like the bug would have been visible as the arm was seen through text. Maybe one of the reasons why tapped is often preferred, because I think our arm may have been completely hidden if it was tapped instead.
Yes, that is a good reason to pick Taft. However, in this case, it seemed Miniorek believes similarly to most people who pick Tex as the ambassador is that Taft is too good of a spy to kind of give up on as an ambassador permanently, and Tex does the job just fine. But speaking of doing the job just fine with ambassadors, we're not doing the job just fine. We did not get that fingerprint and are just full on returning this briefcase.
Yeah, and the unfortunate part is CRAMS is well aware that we went for that fingerprint and has probably credited it as well. So we pick up the suspicion without getting the mission progress. Interested to see how we will recover from this.
Yeah, this feels a little bit too much right now. We timed out on Tan, and we showed that we were willing to do that. but I don't think we want to be willing to do that multiple games in a row. So we do see the time ad come in from Miniorek. Interestingly enough, though, it's important to note that CRM is one of the players that really tracks time ad. Like, we don't see that very often right now, these days. But
Yeah, and Mini, so not long after the time ad, he felt a laser hovering right over him. He probably thinks that he picked up a highlight for that, so that's just a little added pressure for the rest of this match with 4 missions to go.
yeah, I don't think we've seen a player that tracks time ad as, like, stoically as CRAMS does since actually Crazy Kaylee. Kaylee was well known for being a very, very strong time ad camper. One of the big things that was very helpful because you were almost forced to stay within your initial allotted time as Spy.
So this may be a good start. Mini gets off a cheese transfer, and I think it was completely off screen.
Yeah, it seemed like it. We were definitely on screen briefly as we were at the green bookshelf, but CRM since then has been basically completely on the right side of the venue. Here's a bug as well. As we were on the other side of the venue looking at Smallman, there was a very slightly visible hand right at the end as we snapped back to our normal walking animation, but it seems to have gone unnoticed.
Yeah, CRM saw the tail end of that. I would think he at least suspects that it could have been done, but yeah, it doesn't seem like we even picked up a highlight, so maybe not a strong suspicion.
Yeah, and 2 hardtails done. Usually you'd want to go for a contact and inspects at this point with two hardtails done, but instead we're out of time. We have to go for the purloin, which is a white test, and the bug, the microfilm were for naught.
Yeah, CRAMs must have been tracking Toby perfectly because he did not hesitate to take that shot.
Yeah, and that is kind of the issue a little bit with spending so much time in this early game. You did a fake contact. You spent over 2 minutes in conversation doing nothing but getting a single flirt that the ST gave to you. This is the cost of that. At the end of this game, Double Agent was not in conversation, so Miniorek did not have the opportunity to just go center inspects into a contact and try to complete that way, which is really what you want to be doing when you have both bug and transfer, 2 missions that are hardtails that do not leave a trace. You don't want to do any more hardtails. You've already got yours by. But in this case, we were forced into it, and CRMs capitalizes off of the slow play from Miniorek, as you mentioned, having that purloin chain tracking down to a T. But still, needs to find a spy win to catch back up.
Yep, ever since that first round of Veranda, this has been very sniper sided. Yeah, so once again, very eager to see what CRAMS has in store on Library. I think Library is a venue that he is known to play quite well, so yeah, interested to see what he has in store here.
Yeah, let's get it going. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Starting things off with Irish, no drink in hand. Yeah, so I think we're just chasing down the ST, getting that early flirt progress.
Yes, indeed, 34% for our first flirt. Nothing to sniff at. You would hope it was green. Oh, we kind of walk away with this blue book, and I'm not sure we were really seen with it.
Yeah, very quick book take. I think that must have been off screen because he did not cycle it at all.
Yeah, we're going to walk it all the way over to the other side of the venue. We're not going to stop by it green just to put it back immediately. We're getting it all the way over here to where Miniorek can now see it. Miniorek did see it briefly. Oh, look at this.
Oh, and pick up a highlight early. I wonder, or maybe, what was this? What do you think this was for?
I think that's for conversation positioning. We were just slammed in there, and for no good reason either. It's not like we're even flirting here. It's a completely irrelevant conversation. We could have stopped at Windows and avoided that problem entirely, but instead we're a highlight.
Yeah, I think maybe it was a 1 cycle on the books. I don't know if perhaps Mini saw that and drew some suspicion from it.
I mean, perhaps. It's definitely a possibility, although it did seem like we were largely off screen, as Miniorek was looking at the right side of the venue, which did have Toby and the Ambassador and a lot of guests to be worried about. So I'd be a little bit surprised if this wasn't just for what it seems, that conversation positioning.
Yeah, that being said, it looks like C-Rams is feeling this highlight. Not much, or trying to look very innocent ever since that highlight. Um, yeah, I think, in moments like this, you can play it one of two ways. Either just act like an AI and hope someone else completes, or just, assume that maybe it's not so bad and just, try to make some missions happen.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you like if you're top suspect, you're not winning the game very often either way. But you're definitely not winning the game very often to, convincing them you're an AI and having them shoot a sieve because you've spent so much time. I feel like that's just a little bit of a fool's game because what's the point? You're gonna make them think, oh, it's probably not, Irish, but I'm still gonna keep her as a highlight. And eventually, just you have to rush missions, and they're like, oh, I guess I was wrong. It's Irish.
Yeah, watching from Minnie's perspective, he doesn't seem too focused on Irish, so, we may just be just another highlight. However, doesn't seem like many of the cast are actively completing missions, so I think, if CRMs doesn't make some progress, it looks like, you know, there may not be any other suspects to shoot.
Yeah, and this book does need to go back into green. No matter what you think, no matter what you feel as CRMs, if you put this back into blue, you're putting yourself in a position where you have to do 5 missions with a minute 30 on the clock, and that's got to be worse than risking this transfer.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. I mean, maybe he's just holding the book for an extended period of time, since snipers will eventually forget, or if he's trying to look for a moment to do it off camera.
So interestingly enough, I actually don't think that it's very common for snipers to eventually forget if they know what your book is and they've like memorized it properly. That recall is generally speaking not too hard. It's more about when you take it out and if they are unsure about their memorization in the first place. That matters, at least in my opinion. Um, and that's one of the big reasons that I think this needs to go back into green. One, because of the time, and two, because it seems like, at the very least, we got it out without being seen, or at least without being memorized very hard.
Yeah, I think the eventually forgetting maybe from a lower level sniper perspective. I think, yeah, at the high level, they just know. Um, that being said, it looks like we have about 7 lowlights here. Only 4 highlights in total. I think Mini is pretty on top of this.
Yeah, 20 seconds left on the clock, and we still need 3 missions. I sincerely doubt we're doing anything at this point. Another spy timeout in this critical set. Very, very interesting that these spies are willing to play like this.
Yeah, I think this just comes down to that early highlight. I think both players knew something was up. C-Rams was really just feeling the pressure of the highlight there and didn't get to complete as he wanted to.
Yeah, and I mean, there is some level of match play where it's valuable to time out at least, once. Because once you prove that you are willing to do that against your opponent, there might be some level of extra trigger discipline that you get out of your opponent in later games in the match, which allow you to complete missions when they might otherwise shoot you. So that extra trigger discipline is something that's valuable, but when you're down like this, it's so hard to give that game up. Of course, it's still library spy, so the odds were that you were losing anyway. So it's not that big of a sacrifice when you think about it like that. But CRM's running out of time.
Yeah, and both players on the sniper side proving that they can hold their shot if needed. Yeah, as I've mentioned, just it's incredible sniper play all around. I think at this point the players know that they have to really kind of force the sniper's hand if they want to get a spy win.
Yes, indeed. And Miniorek on the spy side, playing as Queen as Courtyard. It's 4 of 7, 3 minutes with 18 guests, lots of guests on this setup. We'll see how C-Rams handles that large amount of guests in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
So settling into an innocent conversation here. conversations are starting to fill up, and we are in with a double agent, so this wouldn't be the worst time for a contact.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty
in the
good,
red.
although it does let off 2 lowlights onto statue visitors, who are honestly your most valuable resource on Courtyard. Because they give you good cover. Oh wow. Oh wow, this is really aggressive for Miniorek.
Yeah, very interesting, especially on 4 of 7, where you still have 2 additional missions to complete with that Purloin Suspicion. CRAMS is on top of this. It looks like
Oh,
there was a bit of a
100%.
reject chain that we joined in on.
100% on top of it. It is down to 3 guests already.
Yeah, 3 guests, 2 additional missions. Surely we'll finish up the flirt, but yeah, what could really be the last mission
I
here?
mean, it has to be inspecs, but if you're doing a purloin like this, on Courtyard and you feel that laser go crazy, low lighting everyone, and Miniorek most certainly will have felt that, at this point, all you're hoping for is just to be able to frame. And notably, one of the people who has rejected is Miniorek's seduction target, so does have some control over the movement of Twin in this game, which can be very, very useful going forward. Because if you can force Twin to go to statues, you might get a civ shot.
Yeah, honestly, I like the play for Mini. Even though, this is a lot of suspicion between very few guests. I like the general idea of joining in on the reject chain. You know, probably expect that it's going to chain a little bit more than it did. But yeah, I mean, that being said, yeah, three highlights here.
Interestingly enough, Miniorek does not go for the intentional red test, instead going for that green test, trying to complete missions. I'm a little bit surprised at this fact. Maybe Miniorek doesn't know that Twin is one of the rejectors in this chain, but I would be surprised. It seems like this early purloin was an intentional route towards trying to frame Twin.
Yeah, he may still have plans. I mean, we can't say for sure. With the 51% though, I think he knows he could still potentially finish the flirt. Oh, and looks like we go for a bug, and CRAMS is all over it.
Yeah, I think that bug was actually quite good given the angle that CRAMS has. CRAMS, of course, double zooming in on it, was still able to see that arm swinging out, the wrong arm, away from the sniper. And, it was probably Minorek's best chance at that point. But given that when you're only one of 3 suspects left in the party after that purloin, it's really hard to do anything else. And CRAMS, locking the sniper down, which is very, very important because that is how you give yourself opportunities to come back in this set, by finding a spy win somewhere. And again, we've still only had that singular spy win on Veranda from Miniorek.
Yeah, and certainly not for lack of trying. Definitely been some great spy play, but the sniping is just on a whole different level right now.
Yeah, the sniping is very strong. We have seen a couple of timeouts. So maybe CRM's going to try to use that as a lever to find a spy win going forward in this set. This is one of the, you have 3 more spy games, including this one. So you have to find something there. And optimally, you want to find another one after that while holding sniper the entire time. It's a difficult task, especially against Miniorek, but can CRMs do it? In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
So starting things off here with Salmon. Yeah, first thing I think is big-bodied spy here on Courtyard. That can be quite valuable for finishing. Specifically for blocking the statues. One of the
Go ahead.
And in the red.
Yeah, one of the typical ways to finish here. Going for a very early contact. Very interesting.
Yeah, gives off a lot of lowlights, and it's a fake again, and we do have the opportunity for potential standing bug here. I think it would, I think we should have taken that earlier on if we were going to take it. CRM doesn't go for it, but I think realistically that's one of your best opportunities against a sniper like Miniorek. You just kind of, you're not the one who joined, the ambassador joined you, so you're trying to just play it off like that and hope that Miniorek's looking somewhere else at that moment, because Miniorek, again, is a pathing sniper. So even if the party doesn't look like it has many opportunities for the sniper to be looking elsewhere, Miniorek will find ways to look elsewhere. And because he's looking for those lowlights, looking for that suspicion on wrong paths as well. So
Yeah, and funny you mentioned that because there was a brief period where I believe Mini still was low lighting, like a lot of the cast. I think the moment to do it was right as the Emba joined. Yeah, so very short window to pull that off.
But yeah, I think CRM's now zero progress, and I get it. I understood the first timeout, Hornet. It's library spy. You might have felt a highlight. You want to just say I'm gonna time out, but when you've only got 3 opportunities left in this set, we're close enough for a bug here. We are. We have to take this opportunity. And then go rush flirt somehow. But CRM's stoic, just gonna stand here.
Yeah, the ambassador really seems to like us in this match. The third time they visited us. Yeah, so it's tough because at least 2 of those times he was in a decent bug range, but it's a little scary against a sniper like Mini.
But I mean, again, what else are you going to try to do? We're gonna try to swap. It's just a white fade. Miniorek's seen it. Is Miniorek sure? Wait, maybe this has been the plan the entire time, just to go for a frame swap onto some character. But Miniorek
I
is he
think we
sure?
did. I think we did swap for another guest. Mini did have a very good view of that fade. Yeah, green and white fades are a little hard to distinguish at times, though. So Mini really kind of took his time before deciding to take that shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that Miniorek should know and eventually did figure out. Actually, one thing that could be a slight mistake out of CRMs is that he swapped instantly. AIs, when they are green swapping, they can swap at any time in the first cycle that they're at that statue. Um, so when uh, so when that happens, spies like to do the swap immediately because they want to like try to get there before the sniper is seeing it. But in this case, as in particular, with Salmon doing this animation away from Miniorek, if CRMs had waited just a little bit longer and then swapped, that fade would have been much more difficult to distinguish and maybe have garnered that shot onto Queen. In this case, Miniorek just sees that fade, and CRMs, despite the attempt here, is not able to find the frame and as I said, running a little bit out of time.
Yeah, I want to assume that the swap timing was intentional. I'm hoping that he could swap before the laser swung around. I don't think CRAMs maybe had full awareness of the angle that Mini had. Um, that being said, as it happened, Mini did get a great view of the fade and yeah, ultimately led to the shot.
Yeah, good attempt by CRMs, but that is why strong snipers really want to see that fade. It is an extra bit of information that can determine games. After all, perhaps had he not seen that fade, Maniac would have shot the intended target. But now we are on to high rise. This is 4 of 8 high rise with 3 minutes to complete. It's a pretty small venue, but you do still have to get moving around to get to mission 1 countdown. And Miniork's playing Salmon here in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yep, once again on Salmon. Looks like we're gonna bounce around a little bit, probably make our way to the ST. Now actually gonna join the ambassador in conversation. Maybe gonna wait for the briefcase to be set down.
I'm trying to turn. I don't believe this is quite close enough for a standing bug. It's very, very close to whether or not it's going to be a standing bug in range. We could take a sip of this drink, and if we are in that range, we could go for a standing bug, but I don't think we are. I think it's just barely out.
Yeah, that is a good point. With this camera angle, the arm movement could very well go unnoticed. But yes, the range is quite important.
Yeah, it's a skill to be able to set yourself into that, quote unquote golden range, as we like to call it, where you're close enough to do a standing. It is in range.
Yeah, and I think that was just clean. With just the other distractions of the party, I think we got away with it.
Yeah, so much time spent next to the ambassador there, not pushing him away. That's the critical part of that, is that you're not close enough for the ambassador's patience meter to decline, and therefore he'll stand there as long as a regular AI might stand there.
Yeah, early bug, 32% on the
In the
flirt.
underbug.
I think this might be a great time for a finish.
Oh,
Yeah,
Purloin as
honestly,
well. Look at this.
great contact with most of the cast in conversation.
Lucky reject from the double agent here for Miniorek. If double agent had taken there, it might have been a little bit dicey if CRAMS is all over the Purloin. Instead, another reject by the ST.
Yeah, so far, C-Rams has proven that he's quite good at narrowing down purloins, but with this reject chain, I don't know how big of a suspect we will be.
Yeah, it's tough to say. We definitely have seen the Purloin come off. CRAMS trying to process it, getting one low light, two low lights, but Miniorek only needs flirt. Just one more, even.
Yeah, a little worried for C-Rams here, as I believe only a few lowlights were taken from that purloin, so this might not be as narrowed down as we thought it was.
And remember, if Miniorek wins this game, he does secure his way out of groups. He will have secured the draw in the set, guaranteed to get out, no matter what happens after, and this is looking good.
Yeah, honestly, really just any flirt would do at this point.
Oh no! The ST bails and we're doing a white contact! This is terrible.
Oh, that is unfortunate. I
We
wonder
have to
if
run.
that was action prio or... Yeah, we really do have to chase down that ST though. With all this progress, we really cannot let it go to waste.
Overtime's gonna happen, and the shot is correct! The ST bail says,
Wow,
not yet, Miniorek. You're not out of this group yet. You need to still win one more.
A little unfortunate for Mini because honestly, he really set himself up so well for the finish, and our ST just wasn't having it. And honestly, great heads up play for C-Rams to be aware of who could be finishing at that moment.
Yeah, very, very impressive from CRAMS to find that shot despite the clean bug, despite the Purloin that wasn't nearly as narrowed down as we have seen in previous games out of CRAMS. Just that little bit of luck for CRAMS with the ST bailing on Miniorek, needing to go to the other conversation, having that overtime. Enough to keep CRAMS in the set and to keep Miniorek in the groups for this moment. Of course, Miniorek still only needs that one more game, and we do have two more sniper games for Miniorek to play, and, well, hasn't lost one of those yet, so I would be pretty surprised if Miniorek didn't get out of this group at this point, because it would require losing multiple sniper games, and that's just difficult to do out of Miniorek. But of course, still possible. It would have been much more comfy with winning that last game, and now we see another Smallman.
Yep, breaking out the third emergency Smallman here. Yep, ready to start when you are.
Yep. In 3, 2, 1, playing it. So, CRM, surely this time you have a grand plan. I mean, we did see a grand plan-esque type of play on Courtyard, so I shouldn't be so critical, because that was a good attempt at a frame, despite the fact that it did not work.
Yeah, I'm quite interested in what the play is on high rise. On the previous venues, it's going for the action test microfilm. Good position to do that, as the animation is really hard to see through the screen.
Yeah, now we're gonna be watched for this bug, so we definitely can't take it. We don't. Good looking out there from CRAMS, aware of the fact that Miniorek is watching that very closely.
Yeah, even taking a wide path there to show that there's no chance that I bugged here. So not picking up the suspicion.
That's actually a little bit of a spy tell sometimes if you see someone taking a wide path around the ambassador that otherwise is not, warranted. It's not something that you really think about because you're watching bug as much. Excuse me. But it can be used as a little bit of a behavioral thing for spies, and at some point by the way, I would love a Purloin right now. I want to see a Purloin. I want to see a Purloin so badly. Please, CRAMS, this twin was briefcasing, This
Thinks
twin was
better of it.
no, but the twin was briefcasing, but did a proper reject, so could have done a green reject there while briefcasing, and that's something that I think Miniorek would have noticed. And if a purloin does come off, twin is a big suspect after that.
Yeah, very good point. It seems like our ST was playing hard to get, both smudging the briefcase and leaving conversation before we could flirt, but we are able to join her at the pad there to get flirt
Oh,
up to 80%.
we've been
We
highlit. I'm not
have
sure
a
what
highlight.
for.
Yeah, I honestly I don't know.
Oh no, oh no, that bug.
Oh, I think that was not the arm that we were hoping. I mean, surely that was not the arm that we were hoping for. Um, the one visible from the window unfortunately bugged instead of the one
I mean, if you wait
face
long
away from the
enough,
window.
if you wait long enough for the other arm, there's even less of a chance this bug takes, and it's already pretty impossible for this bug to take. I think this one maybe is just an experience thing. CRMs, of course, despite the strength, is one of our newer players, and sometimes you just try out bugs and they don't work, and you learn from that. And this bug is not one that I see taken ever, just because like it's so hard to get this to actually even take without moving, and you're often going to be facing towards the sniper, so you need the sniper to have an angle that's further out over here, and even then, look at this. So
Yeah, quite unfortunate because honestly, pulling off a reverse drive-by, it does take some skill, and it's really good to be taking what the party gives you. Just mechanically did not quite work out in the situation.
yeah, and that does mean, by the way, that Miniorek has guaranteed himself a spot in the bracket stage. It was looking good last game, but this time it's finally confirmed, and now CRAMS is fighting for his life, trying to find a sweep on our last venue here, Modern. And if CRAMS can, I'm sorry to say, Hornet, you would be knocked down to third place yourself. So I think you might be rooting for Miniorek here.
Yeah, not only guaranteed a spot, but guaranteed first with 6 points. And yes, as a as a player, I would love to play in brackets. As a fan, obviously, I would love to watch both of these guys, watch what they could do in brackets. So, you know, we'll call it a win-win either way.
Very humble from Hornet over here, who did draw both of these players in his own matches. So, given how impressively this match is going, I can only imagine what we could have seen out of Hornet's matches. But instead, Hornet, you see, you're casting with us today, and it's going to be the final venue of our first match: Miniorek versus CRMs. Miniorek on the spy side, playing as Kane in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Oh wow! Look at this. Oh, it doesn't take.
Yeah, Mini starting things off with Kane Gaming. Looks like we did have a bug that was completely unnoticed. Yeah, unfortunately it did not take. That would have been some great early progress for Mini.
Yeah, a little bit of camera shaking there out of Miniorek. A little bit frustrated that bug did not indeed take. And now we're stuck with no progress. We would feel so much better with that bug in our pocket, but you always feel better with a bug in your pocket, I feel like, in SpyParty. So we will walk over to get our first flirt of the game. It is a green test, and we maybe could have gone for a reverse drive-by there. It was surprisingly covered up, but we were talking, and bugging would require us to stop talking, and that is noticeable.
Yeah, and on the sniper side, it looks like CRAMS is opting for bar highlights here instead of statues. I wonder if Mini is aware of this and if it'll affect his strategy.
Yeah, it is always good to know what your opponent highlights for on any given venue. It's not always, oh wow, this is a bit cheesy.
A very interesting briefcase from Mini.
I think you're meant to return that as well after everything, because the ambassador did stop in your conversation. So lots of etiquette breaks, but you can get away with that, especially for these more subtle ideas like flirting with the briefcase in your hand. Like, it's just not something that snipers are really training themselves to watch out for very frequently. And when you have this kind of clump in the back, where the ambassador's back there, a lot of guests are kind of directly behind you, you can get away with that. It looked brazen, but Miniorek able to get some progress that might otherwise have been difficult to get by.
Yeah, and generally with CRAMS, he's very, very good at mission tracking, and I think maybe Mini is aware that because of this, he can get away with a few etiquette breaks, just because CRAMS is, so on top of tracking the mission progress.
Yeah, spending that attention elsewhere. Um, and we will find our last flirt here at Windows. One fingerprint, full flirt, contact done, 2 minutes left in the game. Pacing is, pacing is perfectly fine out of Miniorek here, but I wouldn't say this is the, slam dunk spy game yet. You still need to find something.
Yeah, this is quite good. All the general Softail missions are being done here. Probably planning this last fingerprint. But the question will be, what will be the last mission? Uh, Likely a hard tell.
We might go for that printable statue and maybe even go for a print statue swap for Miniorek. The ambassador did just put down lots of people at bar right now, so that might be a good opportunity as Purloin is being particularly watched for in these waning few seconds of the game.
Yeah, General did take away our briefcase, so we will be looking for a different fingerprintable object. Looks like the ambassador is making his way back to us.
Well, there is that statue. Ambassador was just at that statue, as I mentioned. Oh, we're going for a bug instead. It's a beautiful reverse drive-by, just given away to Miniorek here. And Miniorek,
the talk immediately after.
that's actually a little bit of a tell for a lot of high-level spies to break the bug animation. When you see talking soon after a potential bug, it often is a bug, but it's so hard to see that, and the ambassador gave us that opportunity. It's perfect. No way!
Oh my goodness, 1 second on the clock. Yeah, I mean, what can you say about that shot? That was absolutely incredible. The bug was not noticed. CRAMs just had to be perfectly tracking the fingerprints and just knowing that the bug was a possibility.
Yeah, I like, because that bug's basically invisible. In fact, Miniorek probably made it easier to credit by talking there just because of how invisible, how hidden it was with the full animation.
Yeah, as a lower level player, honestly, the talking is what impressed me because I thought it would maybe mask the animation to some extent. Yeah, CRAMs maybe just was aware. Yeah, very impressive from CRAMs.
Yeah, crediting that bug, knowing exactly how many prints Miniorek has, that looked so clean. One of those games where you just feel like you're not a suspect at all. You feel like, I haven't really done anything. I'm going to a printable statue at 30 seconds. Sure, the ambassador walked by me once, and then they shoot you, and it feels so bad.
Yeah, and just the the cold nerves just to be able to take that shot. I mean, that has to be one of those shots where you want to sit there and scratch your head for a while before pulling the trigger. I think tons of snipers are just, they're not making that decision in time.
Yeah, I mean, it was down to 3 seconds when the shot actually, was taken. No, sorry, 2.1 seconds even. So on Miniorek's screen, I'm sure he would have felt so confident in winning this game because you get down to 1.2 seconds before the shot comes off, and it feels like such a clean game.
Yeah,
Wow.
the sniping in this match has just been downright intimidating, and yeah, it keeps him alive in this match and in this group.
Yeah, holy moly, C-Rams does not want to die yet. But, as we've been saying, because of that first game, the very first game in the set where Miniorek was able to find that spy win, you need to find a spy win yourself, and this is the last opportunity. Everything has culminated to this. That shot onto Kane there, the bit of luck we got on the high rise, everything is coming down to this final game. You needed every last bit of it, but you haven't been able to find the spy win yet, and it is modern. It's possible. It's definitely possible. We have seen spy wins on modern in this tournament. It's more possible than, the library or veranda very frequently. So, CRAMs up against the wall. One game to make or break the entire tournament. If CRAMs manages to win this one, it's Miniorek and CRAMs out of the group. Hornet, unfortunately, knocked back out in third. And if CRAMs fails, if Miniorek finds this last sniper shot going perfect 6 for 6 on sniper, CRAMs is eliminated in group stage. And that's going to be, that would be crazy. but we can talk about that if it happens. So let's get it going with CRAMS playing as Taft on the spy side one last time in three, two, one, playing it.
Yep, kicking things off with Taft in a must-win game on Spy, on Modern against Miniorek. I cannot imagine how C-Rams is feeling right now.
Yeah, it's got to be, if some people might have a bunch of nerves, I know I would. Others, you just have this focused determination, and that feels a bit more like C. Rhymes' style. That focused determination, that grim knowledge that you need this game. One set of inspects done, I think this is totally fine. Usually I'm not a fan of these early inspects, however, this is not against a player who highlights for them, so you're not taking that early pain for that early cost. Instead, we do see bar highlights out of Miniorek. CRAMs playing it slow in a relatively useless conversation here probably should start to get flirt.
Yeah, and interested by the choice of Taft. Yeah, once again, knowing C-Rams, this was very intentional. Big-bodied, very fast spy. Uh, Looks like we're headed back to the exact same statue, so I don't think this will drive up any extra suspicion.
I think this is, in fact, a ploy to be less suspicious. That was actually also a very nice path into statues, you notice. He turned into it and walked straight onto the pad, which is something that AIs will do. And spies often will, curve more before coming into the pad, or go a little too far and turn on the pad, which is something that AIs will not typically do. You'll see Salmon walking in. Actually, never mind. He's not going to statues, but if you watch AIs for a little while, you'll notice at the end of their paths, usually they're just going to take a very straight line.
Yeah, Seams seems like he's content to not work on flirt on this match. Maybe he has something else in mind.
Yeah, I am interested in the fact that we haven't gotten a flirt. That does not feel great to me, especially in such a critical game as this. We did pick up a highlight for going to bar. However, I do imagine that eventually that will be brought back down as we see some other bar highlights being brought back down. But eventually being in 1 minute, that's half of our time remaining.
Yeah, so we do pick up the delegate. Yeah, surely this is part of the plan. But yeah, generally doing a bar purloin very early can narrow things down quite a lot in the sniper's favor.
Yeah, and Seram's still having no flirt. And we've been seeing this a lot, right? We've been seeing Seram's play, oh, that was a sip break. It was a little bit noticeable because of the angle, because we're a highlight, but I don't think it was completely noticed from Miniorek there, so getting away with that. But we've seen Seram's play very slow, methodical games. We saw a timeout in this set. That's not always that typical for CRAMs. I'm wondering if this is some kind of like oh no.
In the end of red.
No. Not now. Our double agent bails and we have 1 minute. Where are our last we get the neutral light. We get the neutral light before our purloin comes off though, but it does expire. Okay, yeah. So Miniorek's on top of when our purloin would have expired, so it's not gonna be able to come off, and now we're at 50 seconds and we have no missions complete.
Yeah, definitely gonna be a mad rush to complete missions at the end here. Let's see here. It looks like, okay, so we are picking up an additional delegate.
Yeah, and CRM's just playing very slow. It's just so not typical, and you have to think maybe it's some kind of research, but Miniorek, I feel like, is known for being a player who does not misshoot very often, who is willing to hold unless absolutely certain, and that's what appears to be happening here. CRM's seems to be just giving up. Oh, there's no time to do anything. There's no way to get to downtown. You can't even get to Windows at this point, and this is going to be it. C-Rams is going to be knocked out of the group stage after just what looks to be an incredible performance. We try to go for some last-minute rush here, but there's just no way. And C-Rams times out again.
Yeah, very unfortunate with the timing there. I think the party was just not going the way that we wanted it to. I think there was a plan, but things did not pan out. And yeah, once again, just great. I mean, yeah, just great nerves from Mini being able to hold the shot there. And Yeah, throughout that whole map, he was just constantly low lighting. I don't know if it was for pathing or what, but even before the contact, I think he had about 7 low lights. So yeah, very very good sniping from Mini.
Yeah, and it's just really unfortunate to see CRAMs knocked out in groups. It's one of those groups where you think, there are multiple people here that you would like to see, and anyone who gets knocked out, it feels wrong, right? But that is what has happened to CRAMs here, playing, I think, a little bit uncharacteristically on Spy, despite an incredible sniper performance, especially near the end there from CRAMs. And that
Yeah,
just, goes to show the strength of this group. This is our third place finisher.
yeah, an absolute unreal, almost inhuman ability from Mini to win all 6 of his sniper rounds. Yeah, that honestly, it just must be terrifying for anyone who's going to be playing sniper or playing spy against him in this tournament.
Yeah. That is going to be our first match of the day. We do have one more